Okay, so yes, thank you for that lovely introduction. I'm Viv.
Hi, and I'm Cheryl. And today we're going to engage you in some fun and games, hopefully, as we talk about how we are trying to make vocabulary learning memorable and fun in our books for young learners by using games and puzzles.
So, yeah, we'd like to start, if everybody's ready and can see the screen, with a little brain teaser for you. So, can you have a look at the photograph here? And we'll read the text below. So, Mary's mum has got 4 daughters. The first one's called April, and her sisters are May, June, and can anybody tell me the name of the fourth child?
Oh, they're very on. They're on it.
Yes,
We
of
were hoping for some Julys there, but we didn't get any.
Oh, somebody said July. Thank you. Of course, the name is Mary. So it's not July, but you might think so. So it's very simple, but it really makes you think. These are the kind of games and puzzles that we are looking at today. So, sorry, I'm just trying to move on.
Yeah, so in this presentation, we're going to focus on word games and and playing with words, and in fact, yeah, making a game out of learning vocabulary rather than just learning a list.
So, why games? Well, puzzles, brain teasers, like this one we've just seen, and word games are motivating and fun, children and adults alike. They really make you think and give you a bit of a gym workout for the brain. So, in our talk, we were hoping to give your brains a bit of a rest in a way, but also a bit of a workout in a bit of a light-hearted talk. So, games give you a real purpose and a sense of achievement when you complete them and find the answers.
And scientists have discovered that it takes approximately 400 repetitions to create a new synapse in the brain, unless it is done through play, in which case it only takes 10 to 20 repetitions. So much faster learning and much more fun. So, why not do that?
Exactly. But before we go on, why are we talking about words? Why are we talking about vocabulary before anything else? Well, as we know, vocabulary forms the basis of language. Vocabulary gives us the fundamental tools that we need in order to express ourselves and share information. So even if we hardly know a language at all and have very little grammar, we can still communicate quite a lot with just words and perhaps a bit of body language. Although we might end up sounding a bit like these two. Woman, man, love. There's no grammar, but the message is pretty clear.
And as the cartoon showed us, without grammar, very little can be conveyed, but without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed.
So, vocabulary is key and it can be fun to teach. Think about the word games that you play at home or in class, observation games like I Spy, chain games like I went to market and bought an apple, I went to market and bought an apple and a banana. What comes next? Something beginning with C, perhaps? You know the kind of thing. And then spelling games like Scrabble, Boggle. What about categories or connections? Do you do this? I play this game every morning. I'm going to give you a connections game to have a look at on the next slide.
Okay, so shall we play this together? Here you've got 30 seconds to find 4 categories. So divide these words into 4 categories. Okay, we'll start the stopwatch now. Write your answers in the chat box.
So well done. I think, yes, we've got clothes, food, days of the week. In what category did you put chicken in? Because I first put it in animals, and then I thought actually the other animals are all pets, so maybe chicken goes in food. So some words could belong to more than one category, which makes it a little bit harder to work out. They're kind of red herrings in there. And perhaps there's even more than one possible answer.
Mm. But you got them, yeah. Days of the week, clothes, pets, and food. Yeah, well done.
But back to the classroom for a minute. Oh, sorry, I knew that would happen.
Back to the music.
We're not going to time you on this page. Back to the classroom. How else do you teach vocabulary in your lessons? Perhaps the most simple way is to use labels, like in this picture. And then, of course, there are pictures and flashcards. Can you put some more ideas into the chat box? So, how can you teach vocabulary in your lessons? We've mentioned labels, flashcards, real objects. There's mime, TPR. What other ways, what other activities do you use to teach vocabulary in your lessons? I'll give you a moment. Any ideas in there?
Yeah, videos, songs. Yeah, for sure. Those are good ones. Hmm. Yeah, go fish dominoes. Excellent.
Oh, yes, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. Yeah, so you've suggested lots of ideas. We've got some of them on this list as well. So we've discussed labels, flashcards, and mime and TPR. And then here are some others that we've come up with as well. And you've added lots more to those. Yeah. Hopefully we've covered them all, but there's extra ones in your lists. Yes, we'll have to go back and add them.
Ah,
Yep.
yes.
But of course, the method you choose to teach vocabulary is going to depend on the context and your particular, teaching situation. But as you can see, there's lots of different activities, and we do try and use them all in our books that we're writing.
So, time for a bit more theory. What exactly is vocabulary? Let's break it down for a moment. As teachers, you'll know that there are three aspects involved in understanding and being able to use a word: form, meaning, and use. The form of a word is how to form it, so it involves the written form of spelling and the spoken form, which would be pronunciation. Then meaning relates to the concept and what a word refers to. And then use involves the grammatical functions of the words or phrase. So perhaps the word in a sentence and how to use it in context.
And we don't need to explain this to our learners, of course, but we do need to try and focus on activities that use all these three, one of them at a time. Yeah. So we're going to have a look at some of them that we've used in our books.
So many games, even a simple word search like this one, they require correct form or spelling, which reinforces this skill through repeated and interactive practice.
And then this one is a brain teaser that I just came across recently on Instagram, actually. And it took me a long time. I had to actually look at the comments, I'm embarrassed to say, to find the answer. What is the mistake here? Can you put that in the chat box? Have a look at the spellings of the months here, and who can spot a mistake? This is a really fun game to play with kids. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're better than I was. Yeah. That's just a bit of fun. Okay. So it makes you focus on the spelling of the months, but you don't actually notice the little words, the irrelevant words. So this is something you can make up with your learners, no matter what topic you're doing.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I just looked at this for so long, couldn't find anything wrong. Anyway, Oh yeah, someone else has suggested some May and March have lowercase letters, but I don't think that was
I
supposed
think
to
they
be.
weren't meant to have. It's just
Okay, so yes,
meeting.
that again focusing on form or spelling. And back to my theorising. So other puzzles rely on meaning as well as spelling, like crosswords and acrostic puzzles, like this one. So this has definitions as clues. I'll give you a couple of moments to have a look at this one. So the green leaves, the first word is filled in for you. The second one is, there's, I think, an A, salad, yes. And so in this type of puzzle, they're given an extra purpose for doing the crossword because it's the only way to find out the missing word. The missing word is your reward. Has anyone found it yet? If you have, put it in the chat box.
Otherwise, we'll have to tell you what it is.
There we go. Pancakes. Somebody's got it. Brilliant. Yes.
So all kinds of activities rely on vocabulary use, like sentence building games or slash sentences, or these kind of dominoes or fridge magnets. Get them to build sentences. So that's you looking at use.
So yeah, we've shown a few games that focus on form, meaning, and use. And as we've seen, games and puzzles require concentration when you're doing them. You forget about everything else and your desire to work them out. So children forget that they're learning English. We've already seen that puzzles and games are motivating and fun. But why else are they such a brilliant learning tool? Why do you think puzzles are so powerful? We've done some research and there is a long list of reasons. Here's a first few to start you off.
So we've already discussed why they boost motivation and engagement and encourage social interaction. And they also reduce stress and anxiety because when that's often a handicap to learning and retaining information. So if there's a playful, focused, activity, it makes learners feel under much less pressure, so able to learn more.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a few more reasons coming up on the next slide, which I'll give you a moment to have a look at. And somebody's adding something in the chat box as well.
Yeah, and that's there actually.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Very good. Yes, definitely.
Mm.
So, yes, have a look at the other reasons we've suggested here. I think we've discussed some of them, but perhaps not the last two or three.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, when you can do them on your own, but you can also do them in a class as a kind of team, a challenge, which is very motivating and helps learners, take part in a kind of improving their performance.
And preparing for tests. We haven't mentioned tests yet, but many puzzles reinforce key concepts and recall and support exam readiness, which we're going to come back to talking about tests at the end of our talk.
Yeah. And they're also very accessible and affordable because it's quite easy to use, online crossword puzzle makers, for example, and to make your own crossword puzzles, word searches, connection games. So very cheap and affordable to make. And for this reason, we've written a series of books with Express called Word Games and Puzzles, and they're aligned with the Cambridge Young Learners exam for starters, movers and flyers. And in our books, we've tried to put all these kinds of games that we've discussed, crosswords, word searches, mazes, logic puzzles, sequencing puzzles, and lots more. So we've shown you some already, and we want to show you a few more.
So yeah, as Cheryl said, these books are all aligned with the Cambridge Young Learner exams. So if you do every puzzle in every book, you will have covered every word that you need for the exams. So here's a quick look at a logic puzzle. So the vocabulary children are practicing here is simple: food and likes and dislikes. But again, instead of simple matching, they have to work out which plate belongs to each child. So Grace doesn't like rice, but she likes fish. Tom likes chips, he doesn't like peas. Ben likes chips, but he doesn't like pies. Eva likes fish, but she doesn't like peas. I mean, these kind of exercises do my head in. Some people love them. I find it very hard, but you do have to concentrate on the language, the vocabulary, and the grammar to work out the answer. Is anybody good at these? Do you want to have a quick go? So does anyone, I'll give you a moment to have a look.
From left to right, who do these plates belong to?
Go on, Cheryl, you tell us.
I've got the answers here. So Ben, Eva, Tom, and Grace. That's the order. Okay. You would have got there in the end if you
I'm sure.
time. Let's look at another one. So this is a logical sequencing. This is a kind of vocabulary game, but it's based on a Sudoku type of game, Sudoku, and each column has to include, one item of clothing. So if you look at the first one, for example, what's missing there? And the children will have to say the item of clothing. It is the column across. There's 2 missing. What do you think? You've got to make sure that you're not duplicating an item of clothing. The yellow t-shirt is the first one. Yeah, t-shirt and shorts. Yeah, you've got the idea. So we won't go through the whole thing. This kind of skill is really important life skill, and we use it in lots of situations. From following a recipe to doing a maths problem. So very useful and lots of fun.
And here's a slightly more unusual activity that children might enjoy that you will find in our books. So this activity practices key vocabulary in simple structures along with the adverbs always, sometimes, and never. So you read the statements and decide if it's always true, you colour it blue. If it's sometimes true, colour it red. And if it's never true, colour it green. So we'll do one or two together. So the first one, there are 7 days in a week. What colour would you do this? I'm waiting for an answer, but you would do this one blue, colour it blue because it's always true. That's right. And then if we move down one, Tuesday is before Monday. Blue, red, or green? That's right, green, and so on. So it's just a different way to get kids to actually focus on the vocabulary and the language they're learning, and then respond to it in a more creative and perhaps unusual way.
Yeah, you could just do, yes or no or tick or cross, but colouring gets them involved in yet another activity, so it makes it even more interactive.
So we don't want to focus on the tests too much because our goal, after all, is to prepare learners for life and not just to pass exams. But we do know that the Cambridge Young Learner tests are a very popular way for teachers, parents and pupils to assess their progress and monitor their achievement in English. And knowledge of these vocabularies introduced at different levels is a key part of the tests. Spelling of these words is highly rated and 100% accuracy is required in the tests.
And so for this reason, we've included games that mirror the actual test tasks. So you might recognize that this odd one out activity at the top of this slide comes from the movers test. And we've done a similar thing with words. But this time we're also inviting learners to explain why one word is different from the others. So it gives an extra critical thinking aspect to the game there.
And then here you may recognise the page at the back, which is from the A2 Flyers test, definitions. So again, we've included crosswords with definitions as clues, and which kind of makes, I think, the same kind of activity more fun and game-like. And I know which one I would rather do. It looks much more fun to do the crosswords.
And then this is also a popular exam activity. Spot the difference. It requires you to focus and use your memory, and also processing speed. And all these are crucial for language acquisition. And children usually enjoy doing these kind of spot the difference activities. And there's one definitely in the Cambridge speaking test. I think that's all from us now. I hope you've enjoyed that and had a chance to try out some of these games. And we are really pleased that Express Publishing published these books, because we hope that students have a lot of fun learning vocabulary through them. And we had a lot of fun writing them.
Yeah, they were really good fun to write. And I think learners will really have fun using them as well. So keep on puzzling, and good luck with your tests as well. We do still have a few minutes. If we could give you one more little puzzle to exercise those brains before we go.
Yeah,
so have a look at this page before we go. Okay.
This is a fun one. So this is similar to a game of Boggle, which you might know. You've got to make as many words as you possibly can from these letters in 30 seconds. You can use the letters in any order, and you can repeat them. And I hope that you write them all down in the chat box so we can see how many we can make in 30 seconds.
Okay, so just a second. When you're ready.
Yep, they've started.
Go.
30 seconds.
Wow.
Checking out the skits. Oh, it keeps going. Yeah, that's really fun. You've got loads. I mean, I can't catch up with the counting now.
No way. I reckon there must have been
Brilliant.
40 words there. 40
But yeah, that is a very fun and
Thank
very
you so
easy one to make. Thank you, everybody.
So yeah, it's been really fun talking to you all today. Thanks for joining in, and we hope you've enjoyed our talk. And keep on puzzling.
Thank you so much, Viv, Cheryl. That's been very interesting. We still have a few minutes. If anybody wants to ask a question or make a comment, you can either use the Q&A box or just the chat. It's so interesting to think about not just the linguistic, but the extra linguistic benefits that you've just pointed out, cognitive and real training for life. How easy it is for students to get lost in translation when this sort of understanding fails. I think I sometimes call it the most serious fun that we can have, because it's fun and it's entertaining, but there's a very, very serious aim deep down. And I often think about contexts such as business English, for example, where it's sometimes said that very important business deals are closed not just during the meetings, but perhaps at the pub at the end of the day. And maybe if you miss out on references to jokes or allusions of this kind, then how easy it is for things to not go the way that we expect them to go if we miss out on all of these important skills. So how great to start at a young age, so that when the students are older, they've already had a long time to pick up on these extra linguistic cultural, like a little window on the culture of the language as well, is it not?
Yeah, I think it's really important to remember that children learn best when they're having fun. So, I think we can get bogged down in trying to teach them the right grammar and the right order and get them ready for these tests and everything. But if you can do that and they're having fun alongside at the same time, then it's just easier for the teacher and the students as well, of course.